Coming up on this episode of the Grassroots podcast.
The way that unfolded where Melbourne score a goal, but it's not signalled a goal right away on the ice. They keep playing for what felt like a minute.
Yeah.
Then they have to go back, talk to the linesman and figure it out however they did that it was actually a goal.
Even the final game was a 1-goal game. So it just shows you how competitive the weekend was. It shows you how competitive the league is. And to be honest, I think the fans got their money's worth. I would like to think that I treat every game the same, whether it's a grand final, whether it's a regular season, and I always play my heart out. But at the end of the day, whenever you're playing in a game like that, whenever you're playing in a single game elimination, every move you make, every play that you make has so much more weight to it. It has more magnitude to it.
I'm Quincy Kennedy.
Dave Ferrari.
I'm JFK.
Matt Lindsay.
And you're hanging out with us at Thought Fox Studio 1 in the Fox Den. Got an exciting episode tonight here with the full NSA squad. More importantly, a bunch of North Star players hanging out with us after a great weekend, which we'll definitely dive into to talk about the great weekend that you guys had. But before that, I want to give a big shout out to all of our listeners, all of our followers, our tribe who's been hanging out with us, commenting, leaving us great feedback. Yes. Definitely enjoying that feedback. Really good to hear from you guys and what you guys like and don't like about the podcast. We do have a few haters out there. Those are our weeds.
Our weeds. There's a few weeds out there.
A few weeds.
You have to pick the weeds out.
But it's all good. So thank you guys. If you guys haven't already, make sure you guys subscribe to the podcast. We're hanging out at YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Click the red button to subscribe to us on YouTube. Make sure you also download on iTunes. So with that, guys, let's talk about this weekend. Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right. Don't be too modest. No. Congratulations on the win, guys. It was a big weekend for you guys. Came in as a bit of the underdogs. Not necessarily underdogs, but had a few haters of your own going into this season. So it's good to see you guys come out on top.
Yeah, we're in a different position compared to last year. So I think that made it very fun and interesting. I guess we can give the listeners a little background information on what happened this past weekend. We were fortunate enough to be one of the top 4 teams in the AIHL, Australian Ice Hockey League, and we made it to the grand final weekend where number 1 team versus number 4, number 2 versus number 3 on a Saturday night, and then the winners of those 2 games ended up facing off in the grand final game itself on Sunday. And then there's the good old cup presentation.
So did it end up being actually team 1 and 2 playing each other in the championship?
No, actually, it was 3 and 4.
3 and 4.
2 low seeds.
Yeah, I think it surprised a lot of people.
Yeah, righty, yeah. Good for you guys.
We actually went back-to-back as well. We won last year, which is...
No big deal.
Yeah, no big deal. But pretty rare
So that's when we win again.
It's pretty rare, I think, in this league to be able to do that. So
yeah, is that the first time it's happened?
No, it's happened before. I know recently it was Melbourne Ice, and they've gone back to back.
Oh,
so,
three.
So they did a three-peat.
Ooh.
So I guess, that's what everyone's talking about at the moment. But
we've gone, North Stars have gone back to back before.
Yeah.
10 years ago, actually.
About
05, 06.
Yeah.
So replicated exactly 10 years.
Now we're taking the next step.
Cool.
But I think it, like you said, Johnny, we thought we were a bit of an underdog and we were very confident with the team we had, but we didn't realize till after it was all kind of done, or at least I didn't, that the 3 and 4 seed made it to the final and had just that really close game. Like, we always had a lot of respect for Canberra as a team and saw them as one of the teams to beat in the final. And obviously we were confident we could go all the way, but we'd face a little bit of adversity this year. So for the 3 and 4 seed to put on a show like that, and obviously to come through, just shows you how tight that top 4 is, and the way it's done in Australia. We spoke about it in a previous podcast. Just one and done weekends is just adds that much more pressure to the weekend, which makes it feel that much better when you come through the way we did.
Absolutely. Talking about previous episodes, the adversity part. I remember mentioning that in a prior episode, and you just mentioned it yourself, like the adversity going into this season. Let's talk about that. Your adversity, and what did that do for you guys going into this weekend?
Yeah, look, I already spoken a little bit about the adversity we went through as a team, but I think, snippets of that is when you can pull on that in the game, you look at not our game, but you look at Canberra and Melbourne, and the way there was that, because we were still watching that kind of as we were warming up, the way that unfolded, where Melbourne score a goal, but it's not signalled a goal right away on the ice. They keep playing for what felt like a minute.
Yeah.
Then they have to go back, talk to the linesman, and figure it out. However they did that it was actually a goal.
Yeah, right.
Which ties the game up and sends it into overtime. So for Canberra, for that to happen to them, that's huge adversity. So, and they came through. So obviously they've gone through something this year where they could relate to that and regrouped in overtime and came through. And then Melbourne Ice as well, like that could have gone the other way where that goal doesn't get counted, even though it was in the net. Yeah. They've got to regroup and come right back as well.
Yeah, and just like you said, it could have gone either way. I mean, it was such a tight weekend between all 3 games. It's just ridiculous, and it shows you the type of level of hockey that's being played. Mm-hmm. So the first semifinal game, like Dave was talking about, was Melbourne Ice versus Canberra Brave, first seed versus fourth. And I guess just from being in that situation last year, being the minor premiers going into the tournament, I know there's a lot of pressure to win it because, let's be honest, Melbourne Ice completely dominated the whole season. Yeah. I think they maybe had, 2, possibly 3 regulation losses.
2, and it was a record-setting season for them.
2, and it was incredible. They were the team to beat. And like you said, you just look at that game and just how tight that was. Like Canberra still, they have a dynamic offense and a dynamic team. And when you have the first versus fourth going to overtime, and, like Canberra came away with a win, and then you look at our game, us versus Perth, second versus third place. And, I mean, we were pretty much even throughout the year, but Perth was end of the season second place, but our game went into overtime as well. Like it was 1 goal either way. I mean, just as well as that we won the game, that we got the goal, could have gone the other way. They could have had the goal, and just like with Canberra, like it could have been a completely different final. But you had 2 games that went to OT, and then even the final game was a 1-goal game. So it just shows you how competitive the weekend was. It shows you how competitive the league is. And to be honest, I think the fans got their money's worth. Being able to see that type of tight hockey going back and forth, it was great.
Yeah, I want to add on that a little bit, because John makes a great point that looking back at that Canberra-Melbourne semi-final, Canberra take a penalty. Jan Safar goes to the box. They're shorthanded in overtime, where you're on your heels, right? That's just a huge. So for them to dig deep and kill that off, now Jan's coming out of the box and gets hit with a great chip up the wall for a kind of tight angle breakaway to win the game. They go from being on their heels to killing off that penalty to just a good play out of the zone to scoring, and then the game's over. And Melbourne Ice, flip side of that, you're on the power play, you got a chance to seal the game, doesn't happen, and then all of a sudden puck's in your net. It's so tight.
But then even before that, wasn't there a 5-minute penalty?
There was during overtime, or was it the third period?
I think it was in the third period.
The third period, 5-minute penalty on Melbourne, yeah.
And I think Canberra's still in that. Look, to be honest, by that stage, I think we're kicking the soccer ball around, getting ready for our game. So I won't talk too much about that. But yeah, it just shows you, and we can talk in more depth about our game. But going back to adversity, it just shows you that within the game, it's such a seesaw battle. You know what I mean? You have the momentum, you're on your heels, and if you can just get through those moments of time on your heels, like a penalty kill and things like that, you know that it just takes one good play and the game can be over. So
absolutely. There's a lot to talk about this episode, clearly with the weekend. But before we move on, you started talking about adversity, and then you mentioned the third period, that penalty. So my question is, was it adversity or unforced errors that could have cost that game?
Yeah, well, look, without seeing the incidents kind of directly, but it can be both. Like it can be an unforced error or a lack of effort, attention to detail, conditioning, whatever that leads you to take that penalty. But either way, how that happens, it's still adversity, and you need to be able to reset. Like we've all taken bad penalties, we've all been lazy on a play and think, you know what, I've made an error, put my team in this situation. It's how quick you can put that behind you and just get refocused and deal with the task at hand.
Yeah. And I guess with this project, with Grassroots and the whole podcast, we were fortunate enough to have the conversation about playing in a grand final weekend, and now we're on the other side of it. like winners, and it's kind of hectic and crazy. But I remember the Twitter poll, and yes, I did participate in our own Twitter poll because I'm like that.
Is that legal?
Is that legal? Yeah. Get more clicks on it. But it's just like, I remember tweeting pretty much that I would like to think that I treat every game the same, whether it's a grand final, whether it's a regular season, and like I always play my heart out. But at the end of the day, whenever you're playing in a game like that, whenever you're playing in a single game elimination, like every move you make, every play that you make has so much more weight to it. It has more magnitude to it. You can play a regular season game and like, okay, if you get scored on, it sucks, but at the end of the day, most likely, you die another day. You have another day to live. Compared to this, where it could be one goal. Like, players were out there, they made one mistake, could have had an incredible game, but that one mistake, that one mental lapse means your season's done, means you don't get to have the championship. So, yeah, I just think it's pretty fortunate that we were able to have the conversation before, and we have the conversation now. I mean, granted, it's a happy conversation for us at the moment, but like we said, we recognize all the teams, we respect all the teams and all the players, and realize just as well as we won it, or easily won it, we could have been the other way around.
Yeah, to bounce off that adversity thing that you guys are talking about, Dave and I were looking at we always put the results down next to each game throughout our season.
We have it up in the office.
Yeah, as to what happened. And,
Monday morning, chalk it in.
There was a huge chunk in the middle of our season where we had 5 losses or something in 6 games. And even looking at a lot of the wins, we were actually down by a goal or 2 going into the 3rd period. And that exact situation happened to us in the semi-final against Perth. We went into the 3rd period down 2-1. And I think because we had that happen so much during the season, we didn't really panic. Like, I didn't feel like we were struggling or pressured or anything like that going to the 3rd period, and I think it really helped.
Absolutely.
Hey, I like that too, because like it came down to that experience, and all 3 of us were able to play on the same line as the second game, as well as the first game as well as the second game. But having that poise, I remember in 2013 we went to the grand final and we won the semifinal, but then we lost the grand final game to the Ice Dogs. But even within that game, there was a bit of me that I know I could have gave more, and I guess it's just I didn't know that X factor. Or like, I've won championships before, but in that game, I didn't give that X factor. And being on the blue line, watching someone celebrate with a trophy, by far, hands down, the worst feeling in the world. Hands down. And when we were playing last year and we won it, I had flashes of that every time I stepped on the ice. So like, I was possessed going into the corner, battling for pucks. But this year, I think I was just more motivated by the fact that we've done it before. Stick to what we know. And I didn't feel that I was out of place or like I was scared. Each and every time we stepped on the ice, no matter what the situation was, up a goal, down a goal, I had the confidence that like we know what we're doing. I didn't have the jitters. I remember last year we were in a semifinal game. Every guy was holding the stick too tight. Everyone was nervous. This year it was just, we're going out there, we're playing. And I think we had enough seasoned veterans that everyone had that feeling in the locker room. And I don't think we ever were panicked. So
we talked about that in a prior episode as well, about what difference Kurt Warner has, or Peyton Manning going into Super Bowls. And when you have that experience of going there, you have teams like the Carolina Panthers went to the Super Bowl, but you have veterans who've been there before. They know how to handle that pressure. That's what I hear from you guys. You guys have been there before. You guys were in that mindset. You guys know how to handle championship games. So it's really good.
It's weird how the big games, just everything seems so much clearer to me. And there's less other thoughts going through your head when you're actually on the ice. Like, blocking a shot, for example, in game 12, and depending what the score is, you're kind of maybe blocking it. Not me, but you see some guys, but you'll go down to block the shot, but you're kind of thinking like, oh, that was close, or that hurts, was that necessary? Obviously in a tight game, an important game, you're going to block the shot. Whereas in a final, that stuff doesn't even go through your head. No. It's just, and you're not even worried about getting hurt. It's just, you're down. Where's it going? I'm getting something behind it. And it's just, to me, it's just that clarity of on the ice, this is my role, that's my guy, and that nothing else is factored in. And maybe when you've been playing a long time, you go back to game 12, you're kind of thinking about other stuff, and maybe I can get sprung for a little, odd man rush here and get a point, or something like that. But yeah, I just remember that from the weekend of just everything being really clear and really simple.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was going to ask you, Matt. I think you mentioned before. How many grand final games have you been in?
We counted this today.
Was it 6?
It was
5?
It was 5.
5, yeah.
5.
I've had 7 finals appearances.
Yep.
But 2 of them we got knocked out in the semi. So
Yeah, right. Yeah. So my question to you is then, like John was mentioning that feeling. Talk to us about how do you feel like when you're watching the other team just kind of celebrating, you're sitting there like, oh, you miss out, and then going into this weekend, like how are you feeling going in?
yeah, exactly what John said. It's just heartbreaking, and it feels like the ceremony goes on for an hour.
Yeah.
When you're sitting there, all you want to do is get back to the room, get your gear off, and just not think about hockey. But when you win, like you're not even really looking at it, you're not paying attention to them. You're just so happy in that moment. And it's definitely a driving factor for me the last 2 years. I was like, I can't have that feeling again.
Yeah.
I'd never been more nervous than when Brian Bales had that penalty shot last year to win the game for us. I just, like the emotions of that game and how close it was, and me knowing in the back of my head that I did not want to stand on that blue line and watch Melbourne Ice celebrate. Yeah, it's just, you don't want to have that feeling, but, there's always going to be a winner and always going to be a loser.
Yeah.
And as these guys were talking about before, the league is getting so tight now that any of the 4 teams that made it this weekend, the past weekend, could have won it. So
Absolutely.
That handshake's tough too. I think.
Yeah.
Like standing on the blue line sucks, and watching it all. But obviously shaking hands, and we know guys around the league. You genuinely are happy for some guys and want it, but it's just seeing how happy they are and knowing you missed out. And then on the flip side of that, last 2 years, just try not to be too happy because you almost feel a little bad for them.
Yeah.
But just that
it's almost
feeling
condescending,
it is,
condescending a little bit.
But that feeling of you just kind of want to get it done so you can go back to partying without having to feel bad about it.
And it's
ahead.
it's just such an incredible feeling. But I just like to think about, we were just talking about the difference between winning and losing that game. The margin on that was so small.
Yeah.
It was like paper thin, the margin of winning that game. But the difference between a winner and a loser, like, is huge. Like, people are going to remember the North Stars going back to back. The only person that remembers the second place was the person that was in second place.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. And the thing about it, it's not that they didn't have a great season. It's not that they didn't work as hard. It's not that like they didn't put in the miles. But at the end of the day, that's how small of a fraction of it is. And that's what I like about sports. I mean, that's what we go back about sports, why we do it. That's life. Like so many times, it's just that margin, whether you go talk to that job interview that day compared to going yesterday, or you get beat out by someone who has a higher GPA, or it really doesn't matter anything, or you cut the deal or you don't cut the deal. There's so many things that you can learn from that.
Yeah.
And it just gives you perseverance. And it just shows you how small the gap between winning and losing is, but how big the difference is between being a winner and a loser.
Everything that comes out of your mouth, I feel like, is like an inspirational quote on Instagram. I feel like everything you say I've seen on Instagram somewhere.
JFK, aka the Instagram nanny. I don't.
But on a side note, you're talking about celebration and the party at the end and everything.
You're right there.
A couple weeks ago, you're talking about like the story of Gretzky and how like at the end after they lost, like he's seeing how the other team just beat it up bad or they're not celebrating. So my question to you guys is, did you guys not play as hard because you guys think you're gonna have a lot of fun on Instagram and drinking out the cup and taking a bunch of pictures? But, I mean, because Gretzky saw people
if you
abused and battered.
But
You talk about injuries, and I'm going to follow.
No, we were hurting.
Absolutely.
Obviously,
all
it's still.
by the way, guys.
Yeah. No, I know what you're saying. And, no, it's. We were hurting, but obviously, when it just feels that good that it doesn't hurt anymore after. But no, a lot of we learned a lot about some guys in our team this year too. Like, I hope you won't mind me saying it, but our captain played with a broken hand for probably the last at least third of the season.
Yeah. Wow.
And a broken hand where he was in a cast and. I don't know how I could hold a stick.
Tip
with
the
his
finger
trigger hand,
every day.
and didn't lose a step, and would step into slap shots and play really hard. Johnny here had a really really bad ankle, and was pretty much walking around in an ice bucket for the last week or two of the season. We've had a lot of stitches on the teams this year. I'm not going to mention everyone, but I'd say half the team was carrying something.
Yeah.
And there's other guys who are just really fatigued. Guys playing a lot of minutes and things like that. So, if we definitely paid the physical toll to earn to win. Yeah,
Absolutely.
And I don't think there's any amount of pain that doesn't go away when you win.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this isn't on Instagram, I hope not, but I remember an old NHL commercial where it had Doug Wade from the Carolina Hurricanes when they won it. And like they're doing a whole montage, but he separated his shoulder during the playoffs, but he still was able to lift the cup. And like their whole thing was separate his shoulder, lifts cup with heart.
Yeah,
with his heart. And I mean,
that is on Instagram.
But it comes down to that. Like even my ankle, like Dave said, some people saw I buckled in the second period.
Yeah.
Maddie gave me a nice D-to-D pass, and it hopped. I took a wrong step, but like the previous weekend, I took a hit, and it was just an awkward one where like a skate kicked my ankle, and I was just I was pretty hurt and down. Like Dave said, I was just icing it the whole past week, and like every other day had it in an ice bucket. But Matt gave me a nice pass. I went to go step. Yeah, and I just took the wrong step, and I fell. And I knew I'm falling, and I can't get up. And literally, like people they saw me on the ice, crawling, whacking at the puck. But fortunately enough, shout out to Matt Taylor. He definitely did some good job with his physio, good tape job, and I was able to play. So I mean, when you think about it, the adrenaline kicks in, and at the end of the day, it was well worth it.
Mm.
I mean, there wasn't going to be anything that anyone could tell me oh, you're not going to play. If I could walk, if I could stand, I'm going to play. And I think every guy that was there that weekend would have done it. I'm sure there's plenty of other injuries that you guys you don't hear about, and players play through it. Especially, I like it at the end of the NHL season. That's when you hear about all the injuries during the playoffs.
Come out.
Holy cow! You'll hear a guy had a torn groin. You'll hear guys that had broken bones, or broken ribs the whole playoffs, or his hand was in a cast.
Yeah.
It is nothing. It's nothing to play with an injury when you're playing for something so significant.
Absolutely. To shift gears real quick, guys. Talking about a couple episodes ago, and we can keep talking about a couple episodes ago.
I know.
We have so many. Yeah, we have so many, right? Because we are officially a month in, and thanks to all you guys who are hanging out with us and listening to us, you've allowed us to at least make it 1 month. And so we're just doing some recaps on the past month and just kind of that victory of lasting a few weeks. But a few episodes ago, we talked about the stadium, where it was going to be held at. We talked about the fans and that whole camaraderie that the fans bring. So what was it like in the stadium? Because Melbourne didn't make it to the finals. It was Canberra and Newcastle, right?
Yep.
So did the crowds get empty? Did you still have that same feeling? Was it? Yeah, talk to us about that.
I think the crowd still had a significant impact. I could definitely hear the Newcastle chant going on. Shout out to all our fans. We had so many fans come down. It was just awesome to see. Honestly, I think more than half the stands were filled with Canberra Brave supporters, to be honest.
They had a lot.
Yeah, they had a lot of people there. I'm sure there was a couple empty seats because Melbourne didn't make it since it's their home rink. But yeah, I don't think it was a drastic difference, really.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there were a lot of. I like the Canberra fans. Even when we go to Canberra, it's a great place to play, and a lot of them, just like the Newcastle fans, a lot of them made the trip to Melbourne and made it a good atmosphere. It was a bit of a battle going back and forth. Volume, I didn't really notice if there was empty seats. I really can't recall looking up at the seated section in the final. I know it was pretty deep around the glass and the corporate sections and things like that. But you could definitely feel the crowd as far as, we spoke a little bit earlier about not making errors. When there was an error or a passage of play where a team could jump on the other team, you could hear that kind of tension in the crowd, which is a good atmosphere. So I think the fans from both Canberra and Newcastle represented themselves really well.
Absolutely. Again, getting back on track with the championship and the weekend, how good was it to come home to your own fans at the airport? And
it was awesome.
Priceless. It was absolutely priceless. you can't beat the feeling when you're raising that cup and there's people around you that support you, that love you, that treat you like family. There's nothing better. And I just stepping off the plane, coming into the airport, you had the news station there, had the mascot, you had fans that weren't able to make the trip. It just shows the support, and it just shows the city rallying around you. But then, like, I guess kind of like with the AIHL, knowing guys have their day jobs, like I go back to work the next day and people are congratulating me at work, and I just realized, like, this past weekend I was quote unquote a hero, and then like you're winning a championship and then it's back to the grind. And it's different, but I do appreciate the support that we get around the city. And we're just, I guess my only thing is bring more awareness to the sport. Definitely bring more awareness to the sport. I know in general Newcastle has had its rough times with sport in between NRL and our soccer team, the local soccer team, but at the same time we do have a winning squad with the ice hockey. So I would just say spread the word in that regards, but just the AIHL in general, spread the word about that, because you had people like, we're walking around Docklands and there's probably people that didn't even know that there was a grand final game there, which, you know, I'm sure if they would have known about it, they probably would have gone. So
I think I'm still pretty new to Newcastle, and I'm not to be honest, I don't follow the Knights or the Jets too closely, but I read the paper, and I think there's a lot of sports fans in Newcastle that are wanting to get on a winning team. No offense to either of those teams, but it's true, those teams have struggled of late, and the fans haven't had a lot to cheer about. But not a lot of fans know that Newcastle has the most successful team in Australia in their ice hockey team. Like, we've won 6 cups now, and the next closest is 3, I think. So we're such a successful club on a national level, and it's in Newcastle, which is not really, well, it is a hockey hotbed, but you know, when you think of Newcastle, you don't think hockey. So I think if you, like John said, if you can get that awareness out there a little more, you know, the fans, just sports fans in general, kind of deserve to feel that, you know, winning national championships again, and they don't have to wait for the Jets or the Knights. They, you know, we've just done it twice in a row.
I definitely think it's growing though. Like each year we seem to have more and more people get on board. Like even when I got home on Monday afternoon, someone in my street I'd never spoken to before came up to me and congratulated me on winning because they'd seen the NBN news article of us bringing the cup home. And I just thought, how cool is that? I've never spoken to this person yet. They'd just heard about it from the news, and it obviously recognised me in front of my house or whatever. And
bit of celebrity, huh?
Matt's a hometown hero.
But you know what?
Yeah, that's right.
And again, I'm not ripping on the papers because they do a good job, and they wrote a great article of us in the sports section. But on the back page was an article of the Knights securing last place.
And so there's so much good stuff, but
that's true, right? So that's the Knights securing last place is bigger news than the North Stars winning their second national championship.
Last year we
were on the back page.
The back page, okay.
A big write-up, which was awesome.
Yeah.
But again, we go back to back, but somehow finishing
Doesn't
last
quite
is bigger news.
Maybe they're just getting used to it.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, so if anyone works for the papers, listen to the podcast.
Get us on the back
Just a note. Nope, not calling anybody out. Just a note. So take a drink real quick, guys.
Yeah,
so don't worry about me.
Oh, it's so loud. There's gonna be people like, what? That's gonna be a thing. People listening to Quincy drink. And I'm doing my best, like, because people, are we professional podcasters?
Yes.
Not yet. Yeah, we're getting there. You know what? So we're growing our game just as well as you guys are growing your game. We're trying to help you guys in your sports. We're still trying to improve in podcasting.
Absolutely.
And, you know, sometimes I'm tapping on the table. Sometimes we're making weird noises.
Flushing toilets.
Flushing toilets. Yeah. We're getting better.
Getting
we're
out when we have to use the bathroom.
Hey, it's all a part of practice.
Absolutely.
Speaking of local stuff, I want to go back to the semi a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just talk about actually one of the highlights of my career, even though it kind of had nothing to do with me, and that is our overtime goal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Get into it.
Yeah, I'm going to tell a story because it's awesome.
Story time with Dave
Story
Ferrari.
time with me. So in that game, the third line, actually all season the third line has been playing a lot. Some teams don't play the third line at all. But our third line has played a regular role on the team. And in overtime, it saw the guys get out there, and Hamish Powell, who I think has one goal in the year, one goal in the year.
Yeah,
Regard, 1, 2.
Yeah.
Get your facts.
He's a big role player and plays a big part. But on the score sheet, he chips in a little bit, but he's not relied on for that. Gets out there for his first shift in overtime, goes to the net, gets a great pass from Brandon Greenside, and doesn't just put it into an open net, but goes top shelf into an open net to seal the game for us. And that, I think that was just awesome. One, because it's Hamish and he's a good buddy of mine. Yeah. But two, just because it just shows the Australian depth that our team relied on a little bit this year. Yeah. And again, it could have been Tim, could have been any one of those third line or fourth line guys. I just think that speaks so much for our team and just the way we've been doing things the last couple of years and slowly building to just have more depth. And
quality.
Yeah. On Facebook,
so well
I've named it the people's goal.
Yeah.
People's goal, the goal for the people. And I really think it is, because I've never been, like, I scored a goal this year, and I think that surpassed the feeling I felt is for him just scoring that goal, and it was awesome.
Seeing his reaction. His reaction, like, it just, man, it touches your heart. When you see someone that works so hard, that thrives within the role that they're given, and then they get that moment, like, he's going to remember that goal for the rest of his life.
And it's not like it was a fluke.
No.
You know? I'm not saying he's going to walk in and get a goal every overtime, but the way he got it was the way he'd play every other shift. Yeah. It just happened to fall for him. I think that's awesome.
No, I was about to say Hockey Night in Canada. Do you guys Don Cherry? Yeah, you know Don Cherry. Like, I feel like that would have been a great, like, if he was watching. Now, boys and girls, this is what you got to do. You got to go hard to the net. You got to keep your stick on the ice. Like, let's watch. We have Hamish Powell here. Look at the guy who goes hard to the net, has a stick on the ice. Boom. That's what, boys and girls, watch this guy. Like, I feel like Don Cherry would have loved that.
I can so picture that.
Yeah. So loving that.
I know. All I need is like a yellow suit.
But I think that, that made Sunday's celebration.
Yeah.
Like, we were so happy Saturday and just feeling good, but to do it Sunday and then look back at that being a big part of it made it so much more enjoyable for me.
Absolutely.
And I know Hammer was jacked. Everyone was jacked. How can you not be?
Yeah, right. I think you mentioned that a couple podcast episodes ago about, actually, I think it could have been you, talking about, like, no matter where you're at on the team, playing that position well and being the best at that position.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I heard you just say in regards to Hamish, right? Hamish?
Yeah.
Being third line, whatever he is, it doesn't matter. He was the best at that position, and the results show it.
Absolutely. That's, as I said, just on every level of that goal, OT winner to get us in the final. And the goalie, that is one of the top goalies in the league, Heemskerk. And, it was a great pass by Greener to get it to him and drag Heemskerk out of position. But, unreal.
What a weekend Greenside had too. He was phenomenal. I remember just before he passed that to Hamish, I was actually kind of frustrated at him because he'd been out there for about 4 minutes. I was like, are you kidding me? You got to get off the ice. And then that happened. I was like, you beauty. You absolute champion.
Stay out there.
Yeah, it's so funny how you shift.
I'm sorry for getting upset with you.
He can move. I haven't seen, actually, I don't think I've seen a defenseman, apart from Johnny.
No, you haven't seen me do that.
Like, he can skate just laterally and stop and start without losing speed. I really think it's NHL caliber. I really do. He can just get out of trouble, and his feet are the best I've seen.
You know what? When I think of him, I think of a game changer.
Yeah,
like, he's definitely a game changer. He's a player that he's going to make something happen in the big games. And a lot of times you get players that have great seasons, and there was plenty of players that had great regular seasons, but didn't shine as much as I thought they would in this weekend. And I think the players of true gamers, they live for these moments. They live to be in front of the lights, to be in the high pressure situations and perform and deliver. And I believe Brandon Greenside, like we said, he definitely delivered for us defensively and offensively, because he can carry the puck. He's a great offensive defenseman. He adds that element to the game. I would even say our goalie, Dane Davis, he won the MVP, played a huge game. And
he's a gamer.
He's a gamer. And, like, I can think of a play where I was in front of the net, Jordy Woodrick gets a one-timer. I was outside of stick length away and point blank. Jordy, great goal scorer. He's going to put the puck in the net. And the fact that Dane stopped that, that's a game-changing save.
But the key there, stopped it, no rebound.
No rebound.
Yeah. And that's the difference, I think. Scholars might be able to stop that, but then what's going to happen? Mm-hmm. But he stops it and doesn't let it rebound out, just kills the play. That is huge.
Massive.
So, sounds like me when I'm playing NHL. Like, I'm just a great goalie. No rebounds, guys. Just glove saves all day. There you go. So I actually got a quick question. The week prior to the semis, you guys actually end up losing that game. How are you guys feeling going into that week after losing that one?
Yeah, that was tough, actually. Like, especially the game beforehand that we'd won 7-0 against Adelaide. We just felt so good, and the atmosphere in the room and everything was just so positive. And then, we just kind of had a mental lapse against the Mustangs. I didn't play my best game. I think a few guys didn't have their best game. Mm-hmm. And Mustangs had nothing to lose as well. They played a very risky game. But, I don't know. I don't know, some guys just wanted to take it easy. We knew where our position was. We'd already locked in the third place. Nothing was going to change. So maybe that had an impact on it.
Yeah, right.
What do you guys think?
But once again, I guess it shows the strength. I'd say it shows the strength of the league. That a team that didn't even make the playoffs, we can say, full respect to Melbourne Mustangs because they played a hard game and they beat us, like, from head to toe. So that shows you any team, any night can win. And it just shows the level of competition, so...
Yeah. I'm like to be optimistic, but I think, you don't want to say it's a good thing. You'd love to go in winning. The fact they had to get us in a shootout is a bit of a positive, but I really felt our 2 practices before the semi were some of our best all year. I was around for anyway. So I think it could have been a good thing for us. Again, you never want to lose, but it made, I know for myself, it made me really sharp to practice and be sharp. And that, by the time Friday came, made me feel really good going into the weekend. So I think it ended up working in our favour.
Absolutely. Man, what a great weekend from you guys. Again, congratulations. Congratulations to all the teams who made it, really.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like you said, anyone could have won that. And it's good to see the competitiveness of the AIHL and how the league is growing. So that's awesome. Yeah. But my final question to you guys, what's next for all you guys? You guys just back-to-back. If it's not too much information, we're going to see you guys next year. It probably is too much information, but you're not going to drop those kind of bombs on everybody now. But, what's next for you guys with NSA? Season's done. Like, what's going on with you guys?
So, talk about.
Yeah, well, personally, I think it's important to just enjoy it for a month. It's always been my kind of philosophy, and even if you don't win that final game, just to take a month off, and even if you want to make a decision, not make any decisions. You know what I mean?
Agreed.
Just don't touch the skates. And obviously, with NSA, we're going to be touching the skates for different reasons. I'm coaching, but right now, I think we just enjoy, shut her down. Obviously, going back to back was awesome, and I think I speak for everyone. Like nothing better than to go 3, 4, 5, or who knows. But right now, I think you just enjoy it. Have some time off, relax your body. Like guys like John who are carrying some injuries, just relax. And then once you start to reflect a little bit, then you start to make some plans. Then you start to think about your body and what you're going to do to it over the summer to get back in shape. And then you get kind of motivated and excited for the next season. But I don't think you want to be doing that now. I think you just want to be, as I said, taking a step back. What do you think, Johnny?
Yeah, I totally agree with Dave. Right after the season, I like to get away from the sport. So I think we were talking about that in our multiple sports episode. So now step back, enjoy family time, let all the niggling injuries heal, feel better. But I guess that's for a personal point of view. But when it comes down to NSA and things like that, we are getting excited to start doing some off-ice training and just kind of leading our players and leading our audience into how they can help better their game in the off-season. So we're going to be making we do elite prospects, so we train a group of kids. We also plan on doing some other things. Can't exactly announce them yet, but we just want to really focus in on our audience and focus in on the athletes, because from hockey, lacrosse, to any sport that we deal with, in your off season is where you're really going to make your gains.
Yeah.
So this is the time where players should, I guess, as you wind down, get ready to wind back up so you can come into next season even stronger and better than what you did.
Matt?
Yeah, I agree. I think you don't want to make a decision when you're high and full of emotions after a big weekend, whether you win or lose. I think Rob Stark, our captain last year, did it really well. He didn't announce anything at the end of the year. He said, I'm just going to take the summer, treat it as any other normal summer. I'll keep training and all that sort of stuff and come into the new year and see what's happening in my life at that time. For me, I'd love to play hockey for forever, for as long as I can. So I don't have a definite decision, but I'll do the same thing. Like, I'll treat this summer as any other normal summer, planning to play again next year and all that sort of thing, and just see what comes next year in terms of what NSA is doing. We've got a lot of different things going on right now and a lot of exciting things that we're going to be announcing soon as well. And who knows what I'll do with my university degree as well. I'd love to finish that. So, yeah, there's a lot of personal things going on.
Definitely.
But, yeah, just as these guys said, enjoy the moment for now, what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, a question for you guys, which I haven't asked you yet. Going back to the game, the final game.
Yep.
When did you think, or when did you know that we had it? Because I have a kind of memory in my mind, but because I know as an athlete you school yourself not to think that ever until the buzzer goes. But you'd be kidding yourself if you didn't think. And as I said, I can tell you in my mind. But what did you guys think?
To be
Can
honest,
I mention something?
Yeah, go for
that. But I saw a highlight of like the last bit.
Yeah.
And there's a slap shot that almost went in, and it was like, oh, and it was right at the buzzer.
From neutral zone?
From
Neutral
neutral.
zone? Yeah.
It looked, because of the quality of that video, it looked a lot like, oh my god, but it was high and wide.
Oh, was it? All right.
And like in that sense, to where Dave, honestly, I didn't think we won it until that second hit in the buzzer, and then that's when I exploded. I think I don't know, I kept even keel throughout the whole game, but I've been in situations where you think you have it. I've been into way too many situations where it's been like we've scored a goal, literally buzzer beater. You haven't won it until you've won it. And even like, I'm just looking at myself on the ice, I'm just still zoned in, focus until that buzzer hits. Then something snaps. It's like, okay, we did it.
Yeah.
It wasn't like we were bouncing around like, oh, we almost got it. Because anything can happen.
Yeah.
Anything. I remember sitting from the bench last year, and there was under a minute that they got the tying goal to take it into
It was
overtime.
like 37 seconds or something.
30, yeah, it was, and you're like, okay. And I remember thinking then, like, oh my gosh, we're about to do this. Like, it's about to happen. Like, redemption. And then we're like, bam. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
We got to go back to the locker room. It's going to go into overtime. So, honestly, from past experiences, I didn't think we won it till we won it.
Yeah, I'm similar. When I remember I was 14, I think, in Summer League back then, just in Newcastle. And it was our grand final, and I scored with 1 second left to take it to overtime. We were down by a goal. And, like, we're only 14, we were kids, but I'll never forget that moment. But we lost in overtime. I was shattered. But I totally agree with John. Like, from that point, I was like, anything can happen. But to answer your question, Dave, I think it was I remember looking at the clock and there was about 7 seconds left, and I think it might have been Brendan Greenside backhanded it into the neutral zone. And at that point, I was like, okay, they're not going to get it now. They can't get back in the zone because one of their plays was still so deep. The only option that guy had was just to shoot it from the neutral zone and just kind of hope. And I had all the faith in the world that Dane was going to stop that from that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. And yeah, like I said, you hate to think it, but I'll be real with you. Like I was just looking for my guy because I'd had a situation earlier, which I guess I'll say after this, where I missed the change. But I was thinking, when's he coming off so I can get back out there? And then I remember looking up at the clock, same thing. We had cleared the zone. There was 6 seconds left. And I thought, ooh. But then I saw the guy still stuck deep. Yeah. And that's when I was like, okay, this is... I think I started to kind of pack my gloves away quietly as the clock ticked down. But it was literally one where it went right to the finish there, where you just again, especially after last year, you just didn't want to be sure. But it's just funny how your mind works. You know, don't you guys think that?
It'd be different for you guys too, because you were both on the ice for the last kind of 38-ish seconds. I remember you going out there, and it's way different when you're on the bench because it's out of your control at that point. And you guys would just be thinking about so much out on the ice to just try to shut it down.
It's crazy how short your shifts get, hey?
It's like roulette.
Done my job. But I remember, as I said, I missed a change earlier on in the period in the third when we were up by a goal. I was changing with Swiston, and I remember the shifts as well. I'd just watch him and I'd kind of ignore the puck. It was easier to stay focused, but I remember thinking there was a weird broken play, and then my mind started thinking, oh, what if that kind of led to this? And all of a sudden I'm thinking of other things as I'm watching the play, and then I just remember the bench blowing up, being like, who's going, and thinking, and just having that guilty feeling, and then I'm searching for Swiston on the ice, and he wasn't there, and thinking, oh, that was my guy. And then going out there and Bo Taylor telling me, that's your guy. And I was like, I know, that's my guy. And changing with him all period. But I felt so guilty from that. And I remember those last couple of shifts after that, I was like, okay, I literally just watched Swiston skate around his whole shift. I didn't even pay any attention to anything else. I wanted to check the clock, couldn't. I was just watching him because I didn't want to miss that change again. But it's crazy what goes through your mind, and you're just trying to stay focused. And sometimes it's easy, and sometimes you got to stop yourself from wandering a little bit.
Yeah, it's all about that fourth quarter playing. That's
right.
What we talk about in football. Like, you play for the fourth quarter, and that's playing until that buzzer goes. And how many times have you seen teams celebrate like memes? Teams celebrating too early.
Particularly in basketball, hey? They always throw that Hail Mary.
Or like after. But the thing about it, one team can score with like 2 seconds left, and then all it takes is that 2 sequence for someone to get it in, throws it, and then the other team's like celebrating. It's just like, the faces.
Bruh. Absolutely. Well, what a great roundtable, guys. Thank you to all you guys who are hanging out with us in the Fox Den, and as we release these podcasts. Thank you for a great first month. I think we hit some milestones that we're super pumped about with the Twitter polls and just the downloads and everything. So you guys are definitely supporting us, and this podcast wouldn't be possible without you guys actually listening and tuning in. So thank you guys. From the bottom of our hearts, I think we really love our fans and love everyone who is supporting us and giving us great feedback. So make sure you guys hang out with us on Twitter at Grassroots_AU, Instagram as well at Grassroots_sports, and of course on Facebook /Grassroots Sports. And make sure you subscribe to YouTube, hang out with us on iTunes, download the podcast. And until next time, we'll see you guys, Grassroots Podcast.